Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I am going to be discussing last night's game between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, this was a very exciting game in which we saw the Warriors play one of their best halves of basketball all season in that second half. They held the Mavericks to just 40 points scored, and their offense could not seem to miss a shot. Kelly Oubre led the way tonight with his best game by far in a Warriors uniform. He piled up 40 points on 14 for 21 shooting, made 7 of his 10 three-pointers as well. Now for Oubre, this wasn't exactly a high-volume shot creation game. It was mostly just him taking what the defense gave him. He knocked down all of his catch-and-shoot three-pointers. He did a nice job of attacking closeouts when the opportunity to do that arose. And he also made some effort plays, chasing down loose balls and getting some putback dunks. So scoring the ball, Oubre was terrific. He also did score and create shots for himself a little bit, as there were a couple times where in the half court he would have a isolation opportunity and he was able to get to the mid-range where it felt like he was able to knock down shots efficiently as well. So this is clearly Oubre's best game as a Warrior. He's been inconsistent to start the season, and in today's game he was absolutely terrific and was a large reason why the Warriors were able to come away with this win. But you can't only attribute this to the new school of Golden State Warriors. The older guys that have been on this roster for so long also really contributed to this victory. Steph Curry and Draymond Green were both absolutely outstanding. They were both able to take advantage of the Mavericks' lackadaisical pick-and-roll defense in a very major way. Draymond finished with a 15-assist game in which it felt like he was able to get into position in the short roll, and he made the right decision just about every time, whether it was kicking it out to shooters for a three or finding someone cutting back door. Steph did a great job of cutting to the basket actually in this game. I think there were probably 4 or 5 backdoor cuts that he was able to capitalize on for some layups. But Draymond threaded the needle on multiple occasions. He was absolutely terrific with that passing. And Steph had a decent game himself scoring the ball. He didn't play in the fourth quarter, but he was still able to put up 28 points on 9 for 17 shooting. Steph has had to have a lot of big scoring nights so far this season because without him doing that, the Warriors haven't been able to win. But because of Oubre's contributions, he was able to take a step back tonight, and it was nice to see that the Warriors are able to win in more than just one way. They also got some terrific contributions from their bench players. Damian Lee provided so much energy for this team off the bench, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite players in the league. Steph's brother-in-law just plays with an infectious amount of energy. He's always excited, is always displaying emotion, and he's actually a pretty solid player as well. He does well defensively and is capable of switching up and down the lineup as a solid wing player. And on offense, he's a really good shooter. Today he had 17 points and made 4 of his 5 threes. And as I said before, just provided that energy and spark off the bench that really kept this Warriors team invested in this game and locked in. And that was how they were able to really pull away from the Mavs in the second half. Juan Toscano-Anderson also had a nice game, finishing with 14 points and 8 rebounds. Anderson is kind of a do-it-all player for this Warriors team. He can knock down threes when he needs to. He's a capable slasher who can attack closeouts. He is a plus defender and someone who can grab rebounds at a high level for his height. It's really a great story what he has gone through in order to establish himself as a rotation player in the NBA. There was an excellent article that came out, I forget whether it was today or yesterday, on The Athletic, written by Marcus Thompson. So if you are an Athletic subscriber, I would absolutely recommend checking that out. But to sum it up, he's been through a lot, and he has always worked hard. He's always tried to be a likable guy, and it's gotten him really far, and it's great to see him succeed in a starting role with the Golden State Warriors over the past few games. Michael Mulder also had a solid game off the bench. Most of his production came in garbage time, but he did knock down his threes as he was able to finish with 12 points. Overall, for the Warriors, this was a really, really nice game. Kelly Oubre's scoring gave them a huge boost. Draymond Green was terrific, both on the defensive end and passing the basketball. Steph Curry gave his normal stuff. Andrew Wiggins had a solid game. He struggled to start, but ended up picking it up in the second half and finished with a respectable stat line. And the other role players had good games. But it's hard to see this game as being completely great Warriors when a lot of the reason why it was so lopsided was because of a bad performance from the Mavericks. Kristaps Porzingis might have had his best offensive game of the season so far. He had 25 points on 9 for 16 shooting, dished out a few nice assists from the post in which he made some good reads, and was knocking down his threes as he was 5 for 8 from long range. But, I mean, man, on defense, he is just not getting it done for this team. He should have been able to protect the rim at a high level in this game, but he just was getting drawn out in the pick and roll. He was getting burnt in that pick and roll coverage and was very mistake prone, and it gave up and allowed a lot of really easy shots for this Warriors team. And with all the great shooters on this Warriors roster, that is not a recipe for success as their opponent. He really has to do a better job on that end of the floor, and that really goes to the Mavericks as a whole. Josh Richardson was expected to be a guy who could lock up the opposing team's best perimeter player, and he really hasn't been able to do that. Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber are coming off of COVID-19 health and safety protocols, but those two guys have not been playing this defense at the level that is expected from them, and it showed in this game. This Mavericks team is not going to be able to win games when they give up 147 points, and they really just need to improve on that aspect of their game. They also are very live or die by the three, and so far that has not been good for them as they haven't been able to hit those shots at a high level. In the first half of this game, they had 76 points, and a large part of that was because the three-point shots were falling. Jalen Brunson had a terrific first half, scoring 18 points. I think all of them were in the first half, and he made 3 of his 5 threes and is genuinely one of the only average to above average shooters on this Mavs team. But then in the second half, they didn't go back to him. He didn't have the ball in his hands too much, and I really think that was a mistake by Rick Carlisle. Brunson is a really nice player. He's capable of being a secondary ball handler for your team, and he can knock down open looks. And it just felt like getting him the ball wasn't as much of a priority in the second half as it should have been, considering the excellent first half that he had. The Mavericks as a whole were just so reliant on that three ball. And as I said, in the first half that was fine. But in the second half, they went ice cold from beyond the arc. And it led to them compiling just 40 points in that second half. Luka and Kristaps both had good games. They both had 25 plus points and were scoring the ball at somewhat efficient levels. But they didn't have a whole lot of secondary scoring options. The defense was bad and the shots overall were not falling. This Mavericks team might be in some trouble. If they can't start to figure out other ways of scoring the ball outside of Luka Doncic pick and rolls and isolation opportunities, then I'm not really sure that I see a pathway for them to finish as a top 8 team in the Western Conference. I'd be very surprised if they didn't at the very least make the play-in tournament, but considering a lot of people thought that this Mavs team was capable of finishing with home court advantage in the playoffs for the first round, this has not been a good season for them so far, and they really need to figure out what has been causing these struggles to open up the season. Overall, this was an interesting game to say the least. There were a lot of points scored in the first half on both sides, and in the second half, the Warriors kept that offensive firepower going. But I'm really nervous about the Mavs, and I don't think that this team is, quite frankly, all that good right now. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think that the Mavericks will bounce back? Do you think that this kind of game from Kelly Oubre is something that we could see a little bit more often as the season continues? Let me know. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. That's going to be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all again very soon.